are the true masters of the Earth sphere. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Sleepwalker, and I'm here with John as it's 2Def Podcast. Once again, I know it's been a while since the last one, but hey, you know, quarantine life. What are you going to do? Anyways, John, are you
Yo,
there?
yo, yo.
I,
Been doing good, man. Been doing good, man. Living the life. Um, been blessed enough to still be able to stay home. So I've been home with the kiddos and got some time in to be able to finally beat Breath of the Wild yesterday.
Sweet.
Little heated that I didn't have the patience to 100% it, but I was so close. I got all the side quests completed and was about 6 shrine quests away, and I did not get all the memories either. So I was just off about 100, but still good to be able to beat a Legend of Zelda game again. It was truly a masterpiece.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
other than that, man, I've just been cooling it. Just been kicking it with the kids and living this quarantine life. You know how it is.
Yeah, no, it gets really samey really fast. Uh,
Well,
I,
we both end up having to have a quarantine birthday. So that was you had your birthday and I've had my birthday. So
yeah, no,
that kind of
it was pretty nice. I enjoyed it. I basically just chilled. Me and Kia just chilled. She made me taco lasagna, which was awesome because I've been on a diet, so I got to have something nice for a change. Um,
treat yourself.
I don't know if the scale's going to agree with me, but I haven't looked at it. I've tried not to look at it. So, other than that, I just we played some games, we drank a little, and we just chilled out. I beat Neo 2 finally. Finally
Nice,
beat
nice.
Neo 2. That game is pretty punishing. I have to say, like it's I could say it's a Souls like, but it's not really a Souls like because it has so many of its own mechanics, but it does use some of the formula. But I enjoyed it and I beat it, and I'm still playing the after game and then trying to play Final Fantasy on the side because, you know, like I don't know. It's just hard for me right now to focus on it because I feel like I want to play some other stuff first.
Really.
Yeah, like, and not even like big stuff, like old school stuff. Like today, I just got crap. It was on sale. Risk of Rain 2. It's a roguelike. I wanted to play that, and then I got Bloodstained Symphony of the Night, which is like a Castlevania thing, and I wanted to play
Yeah, yeah, I've
that.
heard of that.
Yeah, and I wanted to play that too. And I don't know, like as good as Final Fantasy is, I don't know. I'm not compelled to beat it right now, for some
Oh
reason.
man. Well,
Like,
see, I'm actually kind of salty that it's only on PlayStation. Like, if they would let it come out on Xbox, I would have been playing it right now too. So I
yeah,
actually really want to play that.
it's really good. Like, don't get me wrong. I played it a good amount, and I've gotten pretty far in. And for what it is, it's pretty amazing. And apparently, it's not exactly the same. It is not a blow for blow remake. What's it called? It diverges at a certain point, and I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody. I know it's been out for a little bit, but still, it diverges at a point a little bit. But I like where it diverges. I didn't play the first one, but I know of it because it's just such a prolific game. There's certain parts and you didn't even play. You still there, John? Hello, John. Oh, I think we may have lost John. I can't hear him. Uh, Discord failed for some reason. You back, John?
Yeah,
All right, you back?
yeah, man. These jackasses in the Two Def Clan just try to send a video chat in the middle of the podcast. My phone starts going off, and it's them trying to do some gay video chat.
Well, yeah.
Jackasses. I hope y'all are listening, jackasses.
Stop video chatting, bro. It's a podcast. It's voice
So
only.
are we still live on the podcast?
Yeah, we're still live. We didn't go off or anything. You just dropped out of Discord, so that's separate system. So
Yeah, they try
yeah,
to Facebook message video chat me. So
yeah. What is that? Like that happens periodically.
It's because it's a group chat. You can choose to have, I don't know, up to 8 people or whatever in a group chat. So I don't know. Sometimes they mean to. Sometimes they just accidentally hit it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, please tell them to not do that. That's
Yeah.
that would be cool. But what I was saying about Final Fantasy, how much did you hear before you got off?
You were just starting to talk.
Oh, just starting to talk. Well, just to run through it real fast, it's really good. It basically the mechanics of an RPG, then and with the action system is really good. Honestly, it's the best I've ever seen with a meld of that. Because if 15 had that, 15 would have been a much better game. And the story isn't a beat for beat remake. It diverges. I didn't play the original one, but there's certain things because it's just a prolific game that you kind of everybody knows a few things about it, and
Right.
it diverges a good amount to the point where the second one may be different. It may not be the same story that you remember, but I'm not going to spoil it. I know some people haven't played it yet. I'm not going to spoil it, but yeah, just don't
Right.
expect it to be a beat for beat remake.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of these remakes aren't exactly on par with the last one. It's
Yeah.
not like they're. I mean, there's kind of a differential between this whole remake and remaster, and even the ones that they say are remastered. I mean, they're still different games. I mean, the simple act of changing graphics can have a real tangible impact on how a game plays. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because like one of the remakes that just came out is Trials of Mana. That was an old school 2D game, so making it 3D and adding that system is kind of like it's almost completely new because it was done in what the Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Like you got to
Yeah.
remake the game at that point.
Well, let's back up just a little bit. We kind of segued into it without even really announcing it, but our
Oh no, I got Daryl left a comment, and
oh, did he?
yeah, and I agree with him. He said FF7 remakes Barrett has the worst voice acting ever. Look, I kind of agree with you, bro. Like for real, like he's almost a caricature. Like if like they just made him Dolomite, like like that kind of a caricature. But I mean, I think he works for the character, especially since this was 1997.
Right.
Like I don't. They couldn't change it that much, but I kind of agree with Daryl on that one. But go ahead, what you saying, Darryl?
Oh, I was just talking about the differences between remasters and remakes. I don't have a PlayStation, so I'm not even really able to speak intelligently on it because all I've seen is what I've watched on Twitch and what I've seen
Mm-hmm.
from other people and other reviews and stuff that I've watched and streams that I've watched. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it looks absolutely beautiful,
It
and
is.
PlayStation's really making a power play for someone like me who's been an Xbox guy since I came over to a console, and
Mm.
PlayStation with these damn exclusives,
Uh,
all these games they have that I can't play. You always want what you can't have, I guess.
yeah, it's true. But I mean, I think that's where the Xbox like is really gonna need to pick up in this Xbox X series. The next one is just having more games that you can play on Xbox and not on other systems, because like that's what makes it. That's what gives the system its viability. Like, what can I play here that I can't play anywhere else? And
Well, right. I
so,
mean,
like,
that's what
yeah.
truly really differentiates between the two systems are the
Mm.
games that you could. I
I,
mean,
and not to cut you off, but I see Daryl's comment where he says the Barrett sounds like Robert Downey Jr. from Tropic Thunder, and I see that. That's hilarious, and it's true. But like, go ahead. What you saying?
we're supposed to move as a unit. Suck my unit.
uh, but what's he saying? Yeah, the games that are coming out for like Xbox and PlayStation, those exclusive games, those are the things that are gonna draw you there. And if Xbox had more, honestly, I wish they had more because when Xbox does good, that means PlayStation has to try hard. Meaning, PlayStation only gets better, and it's really only good for the consumer when they both try to come at their best.
Well, I'm kind of torn with it, man. Like I understand a good exclusive, but I kind of of the thought that they need to make it where the majority, especially of online games, are cross-platform, and I think that's really going to be the future of the way things go. I mean, it makes things so much easier to be able to play with whoever you want to play with, regardless of the game you're playing.
Yeah.
So it's so nice being able to play. Like I have a lot of dudes at work who I work with who play Call of Duty just like I do, but I was never able to play with them until this new Modern Warfare came out because crossplay is enabled. So now I can play with people on the computer and with and on PlayStation or whatever. But obviously Call of Duty's not an exclusive, but give PlayStation enough time, they'll have it as an exclusive. Shit. They already got online content in Black Ops way before we did it on Xbox. So
the one thing that I say that why that wouldn't happen is Activision, and just the word Activision. Like they're never gonna
just the word.
Just the word active. No, they're never gonna pigeonhole themselves. They're like EA. They're not gonna pigeonhole themselves. They're going to sell it to literally everyone they could possibly sell it to. Like and that's why those third party ones like Call of Duty, things that are done by Activision, EA, Ubisoft, those kind of games, they're always gonna be multi-plat because they're about money. They like even more than they're about their games, and you can kind of tell from the last couple of games,
right.
That they're about that money. So I don't think they would ever exclusify. Things like Final Fantasy. The only reason Final Fantasy VII is probably exclusive is because it was made exclusively for PlayStation back when it was made on the PlayStation 1. So they may retain those rights. I don't know. For specifically 7, not Final Fantasy as a whole, just 7.
Well, I mean, to me, that's kind of the thing about video games. Like they occupy this unique space, like among other forms of media. They're inherently tied to the technology they were made for. You know what I mean? So I mean, like think about it. Like any type of delivery mechanism that you might have for a book or music or even movies, they don't change all that much. So, I mean, scan a book or record an album or whatever, you have everything you need to re-release them on a new format. But with like video games, they're usually like they have to be ported or emulated or rebuilt from scratch just to get them to play on newer hardware because they're so dependent on the technology that they were made for.
Yeah, exactly. And and then that comes with also the legal things because depending on what time it was made and where it was made, it could be a product that solely belongs here or a product that everyone can have. And the thing with these remakes. And this is my personal opinion. The thing with the whole remake stuff is that I feel that like they're getting a little bit too dependent on just remaking what's already been done instead of like making something new. Because that's like let's say the last flood of exclusives from PlayStation were like almost all new titles. Like completely new titles, not just sequels from the others except for God of War. But everything else, they're almost completely new titles, and I like that. But I like remakes too, but it seems like, like with Nintendo remaking literally almost every Mario freaking game, it just seems like you all don't want to make a new game. You just kind of want to spin the wheels.
Well, I mean, it's kind of... It's more than just redefining the original, though. I mean, it's like they're using it to like kind of... To break new ground on what they're doing new, but I don't know, it's kind of cheap, really. I mean, everyone likes the nostalgia of being able to play a game that you played with back in the day. So, like, games that were over a decade ago or whatever, and we grew up playing them, I can understand, them remaking it with the new technology and everything so people can play it. But, I mean, hell, they're remaking games that came out 5 years ago, 4 years ago and stuff. So it's like... It seems kind of cheap and kind of lazy on one end, but on the other end, it's like you get the nostalgia of Final Fantasy VII remade. I mean,
but I feel where that's different is like I guess where they differ is the depth of the remake. Like, how hard are you going in? Now, Final Fantasy is almost another game, and that in itself is almost like making a new game, even though it's using the old product. And that I feel is a little more acceptable rather than Skyrim just being on the next system again. You know what I'm saying? Like, just another freaking Skyrim. It's still the same Skyrim. Like, they had Souls remastered on the Switch. And it's just Souls. Just remastered and stuff like that. And I think that's the difference. Like how far? Like Resident Evil 2, take that for instance. Really good game. Why? Because they didn't just leave it as Resident Evil 2.
Well, I was reading like with Final Fantasy VII, they did certain things like they completely reimagined the whole city of Midgard.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of made it completely different. But
Well, that was just the first 10% of the game, and they stretched it out to an entire game. Which has.
oh yeah, that's the other thing. Not only are they remaking a game they've already packaged and sold before with the same story and same everything, they're breaking it up in segments of what, 3.
Yeah.
So now you have to buy the same game you already bought a decade ago
Now,
3 times.
I felt that at first, but with this direction that they're taking in this one, I don't know if it seems a little more justified because we might be getting new products now. Like,
Well,
it's
they're doing that though. They're
Yeah.
using these remakes to represent the next step in the respective series. You know what I'm saying? Like
Well-
they're really using these remakes to do that.
Well, in Final Fantasy specifically, I can't spoil it. That's why it's hard to say. But they seem like they want to diverge to a different story than what happened in Final Fantasy VII original. Like completely different. Like I can't really say any more without spoiling it. But if you play,
Definitely don't spoil it.
yeah, but if you play it in the end, you'll see that it's like, oh. It's kind of, it's one of those like, it's like they hid they hid what they were trying to do inside of the guise of a remake, but by the end, it turns out to be like a different story.
Well, to me, like I think it's part. For instance, this new Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
It's neither a remake or a remaster.
Mm-hmm.
It is a brand new game, brand new story mode, brand new everything.
Yeah.
But all they've done is recycled the same name that they've already used.
Yeah.
So instead of creating a sequel, like why didn't they just say Modern Warfare 5?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like
I think that
instead of going Modern Warfare 5, they reused the same name. It's like they're recycling stuff they've already used.
Mm-hmm.
So it's part of me I can't like. Is it laziness or is it them just being like?
Now in Call of Duty's,
using the nostalgia to sell it. You know what I mean?
In Call of Duty's case, it's probably a little bit laziness and also nostalgia because Call of Duty is one of those kind of, I feel, a very commercial game. Like comes out almost every year. They've almost got another.
Oh, it is every year.
Every year,
November.
They've got a new one that's like either not too much different or so different that everybody hates it. And Call of Duty in itself is where I was going to is it's one of those games that I think they went for a reboot instead of a remake or a redo. They just a complete reboot, which is
I don't know. It's just, to me, it's the culture. You know what I'm saying? Even movies are doing it. Movies
That's
are
true.
Even worse right now. I mean, movies are remaking movies and they're remaking them again. They're remaking them again.
Oh, dude, Disney's remaking literally all of their old classics.
I mean, Nintendo. Look at what Nintendo's talking about doing.
What up, Cody?
They're gonna remake everything.
I'm just saying.
Oh, what's up, Cody? How's it doing, man? I miss you, Cody.
Yeah, I don't know you, but I could miss you too. Sure.
You know Cody.
I do.
Yeah, he's the motherfucking co-Rocket League champion, son.
Oh, I see. I forgot. We've got a champion in the house.
Been one of our biggest supporters. He's been one of our biggest supporters from the very jump.
I think
Cody.
I think I recognize him now. I just, the internet. There's so many people.
Speaking of that, you guys seeing how we're coming up on 2,500 followers? Coming up real quick.
Snap! 2,500.
Halfway to 5,000, baby.
You know what, Wayne?
I appreciate it.
Wayne, I agree with you. I feel like no one can really make an amazing story anymore. But I don't know if that's the.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that. I think people are too lazy to come up with a new story anymore.
Yeah, that is true. But the thing is, I don't like. I think is it laziness? Is it like the fact of bankruptcy and they just want to feed on nostalgia, or is it the fact that so many stories have been done? It's kind of hard to come up with something individual now.
Well, yeah, it's hard, but that's why
Yeah,
they're in the business. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
just think about. I mean, for instance, I know we were just going on a different route with Nintendo, but if we rewind back and see Nintendo, they've remade, not even remade, but have been making Mario titles for decades, and there's a million different Mario titles.
that's
They've
true.
been making they've been making Legend of Zelda games for decades, and there's thousands of different Legend of Zelda titles. Now,
Yeah,
granted, they are starting to remake them all, but the Breath of the Wild is just a perfect example.
yeah.
Brand new story, brand new everything, and it was brilliantly done, beautifully done. It was a masterpiece of the game, and
Hmm.
it was the same story, same people, same characters that we've grown to love and be accustomed to, but it was a whole new look at it all.
That's true.
They didn't have to ride the pigtails of the success of a previous game.
And I think the
I don't know.
fact that they like, I think they and the what Breath of the Wild what made it so good was a complete kind of change from its normal framework of you go here get this then go to the next temple get this and they let you go pretty much anywhere you want. I mean you could beat the game from the outset if you felt like it. It would be hard and you would probably die, but you can do it. And I think giving you that kind of freedom and that openness and changing the way the structure of the game really gave it that new life that it needed. Because I was saying before Breath of the Wild that Zelda was like they kind of needed to change it up. And
Yeah.
honestly I think Breath of the Wild did it masterfully.
Oh yeah.
I agree with you. It is one of the when I first played that because I didn't play it when it came out. I played it like a year later when I got my Switch. And I played Breath of the Wild and I was like, oh my god, this is the most satisfying game I've played, and it's not even from this year. Like,
Well, I posted an article not too long ago that was talking about how it was voted the most relaxing game to play,
yeah.
which I disagree. It depends on what part of the map you're on. But
What up, Donovan?
hey, what's up, Donnie?
Uh,
Shout out to Control Point Gaming Center
Shout out to
in
Control
the
Point.
house.
But yeah, it does depend on what part of the map you're on, especially if you got one of those Leos walking around. Like,
Fucking Lionels.
yeah, Lionel.
Dude, I got so mad. I got so mad that I finally you progress through the game, you get better and better, you get better weapons or whatever, and I start getting these ancient arrows, and I realized I could kill everything with them, and so I start killing these Lionels with them, and then I got pissed because I couldn't get any of their loot.
Yeah,
So I couldn't get their weapons or the hooves. They just disappeared. So I was like, shit,
dude,
now I gotta actually fight this guy.
I tried too, like, and I tried to fight that thing, and I could see how it's done, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, this
No,
thing.
you gotta use stasis, and you gotta arrow the shit out of them in the head.
Yeah, and then you gotta, I mean, you could do it the other way, but it's gonna be a lot of parrying and dodging, and
Yeah.
that stuff is it gets a little
But
crazy.
back to Wayne's point though, like people can make an amazing story, like brand new stories. I mean, there's all kinds of amazing stories that are coming out. There's new games that are coming out that are excellent.
That is true.
But I think what's happening is that it's too much of a risk to come up with a brand new situation. Humans always, naturally want to go to what's familiar to them. So you get certain titles that are timeless and that are going to sell regardless. You know what I'm saying? Like they know that they just have to remake a game and that shit's going to sell. And people's going to go give them their money. So they stay with the safe option of, same thing with movies. It's the same reason why,
Mm-hmm.
in the last 10 years we've had 3 different Spider-Men.
Yeah.
We've had what, 3 different Batman.
Now for the Spider-Man, it was more of a they were contractually obligated to keep making them to keep Spider-Man's what's it called, property, to be able to keep his property. Sony had to make a Spider-Man like every freaking like couple of years. So
Well, I'm just I'm,
you
I'm
know
just meaning like the difference between Tobey Maguire and then to Garfield and now
yeah,
just the different in re-envisioning of
that familiar nostalgia that gets everybody down, because I mean that's what Zelda is, honestly. And a lot of Nintendo games, they're literally remakes of the same games over and over again, but that nostalgia is still there. Now Nintendo masterfully captures it. Some people just can't keep capturing that nostalgia even though they try to bring it back. I mean,
Well, it's because they have iconic characters. I
mm-hmm,
mean, it's like, for instance, look at Super Mario Odyssey.
yeah,
Odyssey. I haven't actually had the chance to actually sit down and play it myself, but I've been watching, reading reviews because I was thinking about buying it. But literally, all they did was change it to where you have this hat now, this like magical hat that you can throw out and you can control other creatures.
Oh yeah, I beat the
So
game.
like, yeah,
Like,
so you could throw it out and control different, and it gave Mario an entire different feel.
yeah, I
But
think
it's still the same good old Mario. It's a me, you Mario. You know,
I
it's the
know,
same like
but like let's take
it's the
characters
same
like
guy.
Sonic though, who are also beloved, but have had trash games ever since the old Sega Genesis games. They've all
Yeah,
been trash. Like and he'll still make them because Sonic is a beloved character, but it really takes that like skill and polish to put on it to make that iconic character still last until now. I mean, Kratos in God of War. God of War Ascension was probably the shoddiest God of War ever. It was it was kind of bad and it was glitchy and it literally fucking broke my game one time where it just stopped and I had to start all over again. Like, but that's why it needed to be remade into God of War, which you saw, on PlayStation 4, which is a whole new kind of game and stuff like that. So sometimes,
right.
like, even if you have an iconic character, the formula's got to change. Like the
My,
formula.
my my whole gripe is, and maybe this is me being nitpicky, but just as a consumer,
Mm-hmm.
all right, if you want to remake games or whatever, but in the sense of God of War and of Modern Warfare and kind of in the same vein,
Mm-hmm.
at least come up with a new title, man. You don't got to recycle so much. It's kind of like you guys are paying these creative teams millions of dollars. Come up with a new damn title, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
the it shows me because the storylines are always different, the gameplay is always different. They always have something new and unique
Mm-hmm.
that's going in from game to game. It's not the content of the game itself. It's like they didn't put the thought into a title. They're just like, oh, let's just call it Modern
Yeah.
Warfare.
Let's start it all
It's
over
like
again and call it the original one, and that's laziness. I can say that's laziness right there because
that's. I mean,
God.
it could be brilliant. I mean, it could be brilliant. Who knows? I mean, these guys they might say, hey, we put Modern Warfare. It's one of the most beloved series in the Call of Duty franchises. Let's just throw out. Same thing with Black Ops, except for they're adding numbers to the end of the Black Ops. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I mean, they
think
just know people are going to buy it.
I think that's just a nostalgia play, though. Just really the original name is just to be a more of a nostalgia play, so you could be like, oh, I remember that. But like it's like Bomberman. It's like, oh, I remember Bomberman, and then you play it now and you don't like it as much.
You know what? You
Like
know what game they need to remake that I'll buy?
what?
Two games. Two games.
What?
Metroid Prime
Okay.
and Contra.
They remade Contra, but unfortunately, Konami is a trash fire now, and they've ruined it. It was
Man, I love Contra back in the day.
oh, dude, Contra used to be good, but the new one is god awful, and Konami ruined it. And
So I didn't even know there was an. Is it with like today's graphics or whatever?
yeah, well, no, because it looks bad even for today. Like, dude, check it. Look, it's the newest Contra. I forget the subtitle name, but check it out. It's bad, bro. Like, they screwed it over, and they tried to make it top down in 3D, and it didn't go well. Now for Metroid, there is supposed to be another Metroid, but Nintendo showed it like 5 years ago at an E3 and hasn't said anything about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I think that's really to me a franchise that could really, and not even remake any of the games they've already made. Just make a new title, make a new title in that series with
mhm.
today's graphics on the Switch or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Because that game's awesome.
One game I'd say two games, but there's one game I really like them to remake, and that's Psyops. Like, I would love NetherRealm Studios because that's who originally made it when they were Midway to
Oh,
make
they're
another
awesome though.
to make another Psyops because I love that game. I thought it was a great game, and I think it was one of their better games, especially when they were Midway. Because when they were Midway, they were just tossing crap out the window. But this is
So
now,
what?
what
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
now
Go
that
ahead.
they're NetherRealm, they've been making some really solid games. So I would really like them to not only do Psyops, but another one of their games, Mace: The Dark Ages. It's a fighting game. It was like a 3D fighting game back in the day. That was dope, and I would love to see another one of those.
See, I don't even know that game. I don't even know what that game is.
Look it up. It was one of their older games. They still had like the whole Midway style where they had fatalities. It was a 3D game, kind of in a dark fantasy world, and it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. I think it was one of their better attempts at 3D.
I mean, there's all kinds of games that they could remake, and if they're going to go this path of remaking games, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
something as simple as like Wave Race. Back
Uh,
when Nintendo 64 came out, man, Wave Race was my shit. I love that game.
yeah,
Um,
Jet Moto.
I mean, yeah,
Jet Moto's dope.
Perfect Dark would be a
Mm-hmm.
great game to remake in today's technology. I mean, there's a lot of options that they have out there. I just
That's
don't. I'm
true.
not sure why they're not.
I
They're
mean,
doing it with some and not with others.
Capcom has at least 3 or 4 series that they need to remake, but they just keep remaking Resident Evil. I'm like, bruh, Dino Crisis, Onimusha, all like, dude, you have so many games. Why don't you just remake those? Like another Mega Man? I'll take another Mega Man. I love Mega Man. Like, they had Mega Man 11. That was pretty good.
I on one end, I do kind of respect the developers who keep their game kind of true to the feel of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we were talking about before, video games are very dependent on the hardware that they're coming out on.
Mm-hmm.
So when you make I've seen a lot of, especially Nintendo does it quite a bit, is they'll make new games, but they still have a very old school feel to them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, they'll have those old school sensibilities, but some new polish on them to make them feel
yeah,
like up to date. Like it's the thing with like Streets of Rage 4 just came out, right? And
yeah,
it's one of those games where I think it's like it looks better, but I don't think it fully upgraded to newer stuff, like a newer form of beat 'em up, because it plays like the old game, and it looks good. They added other characters, but it plays a little too much like the old game.
right.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, you guys in the chat, if you're here listening, and you have a game that you think they should remake, let us know. We'll mention it in here.
Oh yeah, I'm bringing it up. It's dope.
I'm trying to think of another one that I was just thinking of that would be really dope. Oh, Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Ah, they made some newer ones. They do have newer Mike Tyson's Punch Outs on the Wii. Like, I don't know if they can't call it Mike Tyson's Punch Out, of course. Because legal
Mike
issues.
Tyson, a Punch Him Out. No.
No, legal issues.
Have you seen, on a completely side note, have you seen where Mike Tyson's training to make a comeback?
Really?
54 years old. He's training to have a comeback fight.
And he's trying to box.
Yeah, he's looking in pretty good shape right now.
I mean, yeah, for a 54-year-old dude, but I mean, is he really? I mean, like, I know he still got hands, bro. I mean, but he got hands for like a normal person, not like young spry cats. Like,
No,
like,
that man opened up a cannabis shop, and now he's freaking.
Well,
This man made his own strain.
well, they can't name Mike Tyson's Punch Out after him anymore because of the whole Robin Givens rape charge thing. But
Hey, but it would be a good game to remake.
it would be a good game. I would enjoy that game.
Well, I know that you kind of compiled a list when we were kind of going over notes for the podcast, but so I'll let you kind of go over some of those games. But it seems like the majority of the big titles, with the exception of Cyberpunk, coming out in 2020, for the most part, are remakes.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's Ghost of Tsushima that comes out in let's say June, I believe, June or July, and The Last of Us 2. But other than that, in Cyberpunk, pretty much all remakes. Because I don't know. I mean, one with the Rona out there, I mean, they don't really have a lot of options for new stuff. So I mean, I guess a remake would be a good way to go. But because that wouldn't, I guess you could
Hey,
use. You
I
could,
don't know if this is.
hello.
The headphones are cutting out.
All right. Is it mine or yours?
Hello,
Hello. I can hear you.
you're cutting out on me. I don't know.
All right. I'm cutting
Sure.
out. I'm cutting out on you. All right. Hold on.
This is what happens when you have to do podcasts remotely.
Yeah, that's true. If we were both here, I mean, it's saying that I'm here and that I'm loud. Ask chat. Chat, can you hear me?
Can everybody here sleep?
Anybody in chat still next to the keyboard?
There's 5 people watching, so.
I don't know if they're next to their keyboard though. They might have left it on and walked away out of support for 2Def, which I appreciate.
Well, I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. You can hear me now, right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine now.
Okay, all right then. Well, that's cool. Anyways, keep going. What we were doing before we had the technical difficulties.
You were talking about the remakes that are coming out this year.
Oh yeah, the remakes that are coming out this year. Pretty much, it's all remakes from there. So the Trials of Mana, I believe, Destroy All Humans. I have the list right here, and it's not even the entirety of the freaking list. Battletoads. I don't. It's undisclosed date.
Uh,
Undisclosed date.
Battletoads.
Fear Effect. The Stanley Parable. Resident Evil 3. That already came out. Okami. I really like that. Xenoblade Chronicles. Another Switch exclusive there. And that's just what I have on this list. But there's even more than that coming out. And I think a lot of the big things, hopefully, like Cyberpunk doesn't get delayed. I'm hyped for Cyberpunk, bro. Like,
yeah, I'm hyped too. I'll definitely be having Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Cyberpunk, to kind of step off of the remaster situation, there's a lot of cool information coming out from Cyberpunk right now. Like, as far as being able to fully customize your character, all the way down to your genitals.
That's amazing, and also a little disturbing. Like, because with the internet, what that's gonna do. You're gonna have this dude walking around with like in a football or like a watermelon in his pants, and it's just gonna look like the weirdest thing. They're gonna have to put a cap on that.
Dude, I saw Matthew post something somewhere, and he was like, "Good, I can finally be like a super badass killer with a micro penis."
But I'm like, even Kia was like, "I want to play that game," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna be a."
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna scoop it up for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one, even more than The Last of Us. Which is, The Last of Us. I played the first one. I like it. It's just I'm not so excited for it.
Yeah, so The Last of Us definitely just leaked out their trailer, the teaser trailer for number 2, and of course, without spoiling anything, you got a few leaks as well talking about The Last of Us, and you weren't very happy about it. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. First of all, Wayne, I'm scared for Cyberpunk sucking too, but honestly, if CD Projekt Red is making it and they made all the Witcher games and they were phenomenal, I have a lot of faith for Cyberpunk. Now,
yeah, for sure.
For what we're talking about with the Last of Us leaks, listen, I'm not going to spoil any of it for any of you who want to play it, but personally, when I saw it, I kind of couldn't believe it. It was one of those things. It's like, that is a really bold and sharp direction turn, and I don't know if I don't know if PlayStation quite knows what they're doing with that one, because it's like, Naughty Dog, and because it jarred me. I was like, what? Why would you do that? I'm like, I don't want to do that. The thing that happens is something I wouldn't want to do, and I had to say that's why these leaks are getting kind of, but because people are seeing them and they're not liking them, and I have to agree, it is not a good turn for the story. And
well, the other thing is, like you said when we were talking, previous to the podcast starting, is it leaked and they claim the source was from an outside source, but yet they're suing them. So it makes you think that whatever was leaked was truthful.
Yeah, if they're going to be doing legal actions against somebody, then it's probably pretty accurate. And with all this bad press against it, it makes me think Sony or Naughty Dog being the smarter developers they are, may delay it to redo stuff. I don't know. I don't think it'll do that, but if they get bad enough reaction, they might delay.
Well, it's really a shame because The Last of Us, from what I've seen from the first one, which again is only on PlayStation, and I don't have a damn PlayStation, but from what I've seen, the first Last of Us was absolutely remarkable.
Yeah.
And from the leaked trailer that I watched, now I didn't see the same leaks that you saw, but I just saw the trailer. The trailer looks beautiful. Kind of looks to me like they got the character from Red Dead Redemption 2 up in that motherfucker, but but you know, it looks beautiful. I mean, it looks absolutely gorgeous.
Oh yeah, that's not in question. How it looks and plays will probably be immaculate. But being such a story heavy game, it can ruin it. Like having a bad story turn can ruin a game that looks great. You know, I'll give you an example, and this isn't even a bad story turn. What's that game that came out, Death Stranding? Like,
Hmm. Oh, with Norman Reedus or
yeah, with
whatever.
Norman Reedus, it looks beautiful, but dude, I've never heard anybody that said they enjoyed playing
Yeah, yeah. They
it.
hyped it up. They hyped it up and hyped it up, and it fell flat on its face.
Yeah, because it's literally a walking simulator, and I don't think that I think Hideo Kojima was kind of smelling his own farts on that one because that's like, bruh, who would want to play that? Who would like? Why would this be fun? Like that's the one thing I think anybody needs to ask themselves when they're making a game or designing a game. Why would this be fun or funny or anything? You know, like and the last thing you want your game to be is cumbersome.
Right.
But anyways, you know, it may look beautiful, and Last of Us 2 may look beautiful and probably play well, but that story could really bite it in the ass if it's true.
Yeah, I mean,
If it's true, I don't know if it's true. We don't. No one knows. It can't be confirmed, but it's looking like it might be.
there's so many things that go with it, man. I mean, I try to look at even Witcher 3 and even Red Dead Redemption.
Hmm.
By all metrics, on pretty much anyone's you know list, they're great, well done, beautiful games.
Hmm.
But both of them end up losing me. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I sit down and I have both of them. I sit down and started playing both of them. I'll admittedly say I got further into Red Dead Redemption than I did Witcher 3, but I wasn't compelled to finish them. I'd
Hmm.
finish a chapter and I get bored. I got bored with it. It was just almost too wide open and almost too, you know what I'm saying? Like
Too
it was
much
just,
story and too much kind of curtailing you into a certain thing and everything
yeah.
too
People are
long.
getting out of control with the wide open worlds. I think the Legend of Zelda, this last, Breath of the Wild, did it perfectly. It was still a wide open game. You could literally go anywhere, more so than you could in Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, but they don't
And it
bog
was
you
open.
down. But they don't bog
But
you down with all this story and things that you have to do.
well, and there was story, but you have, it's very clear which is the main quest
Mm-hmm.
and very clear what is the side quest.
Dang.
You know what I'm saying? Like with Red Dead Redemption, I feel like they kind of get blurred. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
don't really know
And another
what's
thing that
part of the
Breath of
main
the
quest.
Wild does that Red Dead Redemption and games that are huge like Red Dead Redemption does that I don't like what they do that Breath of the Wild does good is that all that space in between things is filled with stuff. It's filled
Right.
with activities, items, enemies, weapons, whatever you could say. And in Red Dead Redemption, there's just a lot of space. That there's nothing in it. It's just freaking space. You're just
Well, it's interesting to me because, like, me, Sleep. You know how I am as a gamer or whatever.
mm-hmm.
Typically I don't like the super kiddie kind of games, shell shaded. I would normally be more Red Dead Redemption kind of game or
Mm-hmm.
Witcher 3. You know what I'm saying? Like over even like a Zelda game because it's a little bit more kiddie. But you know, it just has a way of you know what I'm saying? Like it sucks you in. And with Red Dead Redemption, even though it's a little bit more brutal, a little
Uh,
more realistic and even looked better than Legend of Zelda. Really,
yeah, but
Zelda it's just fun to play. It just
exactly.
sucks you in. It's just so fun to play.
It's an entire world of things to do that are interesting and intriguing. And I holler out at Austin real fast, Austin Shane. Kingdom
Kingdom of
of
Amalur.
Amalur was dope. I'm so glad someone else played that. That game was so freaking dope. And I'm so sad that there's never going to be a sequel because the studio that did it just freaking died. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
you're never going to be a sequel unless somebody buys the property or whatever. But Kingdom of Amalur was so dope, and I wish there was more games like that because it was another game that had an open world, but it was really about what you did, like the fighting and the action, and the gameplay was the star, and that's where I think Breath of the Wild kind of kills Red Dead because the gameplay is the star, not my
Well,
graphics.
the other thing is this. So I don't know if anybody else listening ever comes across this, but as humans, like if you're given too many options, you have a hard time making the decision. So, like for instance, me and my wife Tamara, we our nightly kind of rituals, after we put the kids to sleep and we enjoy ourselves or whatever, we sit down and we watch a show or a movie or whatever we feel like watching that night. And we, obviously we have a multitude of streaming options. So first we have to pick which streaming option we want to watch through. So say for instance we pick Netflix. Now we have Netflix. Now we have a million different movies, and we end up sitting there scrolling through movies and shows and watching the trailers and scrolling through. And before we know it, we've been sitting there scrolling through movies for an hour and a half to 2 hours before we even chose a movie. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And I feel like it's the same thing with Witcher 3 and these open world games, even the really well done ones like Witcher 3 and Red Dead Redemption, is they're so focused on making it open world and so like open that they don't understand that they're distracting people with it. I mean,
yeah.
Witcher 3 is a perfect example. I can't tell you how many times I've opened up Witcher 3 to play it and started playing it for a little while and then get caught up in a game of Gwent, and then I'm just sitting there playing Gwent. I didn't seriously. I just sit there and play Gwent,
Yeah,
and the same thing with Red Dead Redemption. I'll sit there and I'll open it up, start playing, and the next thing you know, I'm sitting down playing poker with somebody.
yeah.
And it's just like,
But
it's just I don't know.
now
It just kind of gives you these.
the one thing I would say about that is if there's when you open the game and there's something you like to do and you do that for hours, I feel that that's worth the price of the game. Like, like
What racing game you talking about?
not a race. Oh, what racing game? Don't forget how racing
Yeah, he
games
just
have
said,
gone.
don't forget how racing games have gone.
Well, there's not a lot of pure racers left. I know there was that one game. It just came out. The Crew, I think, or something like that. The Crew 2 or something like that. That was an open world racer, but there's not a lot of like pure racers anymore. I can't think
Well,
of any.
I mean, it's there's something to be said about a game that's still open world, but it kind of keeps you on a path. I felt like
Yeah.
that's how Zelda was. It kept me on a path. I could
You there, John?
choose map I want to open up first, and all this kind of. It still kind of led you along the main storyline pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Games like Red Dead and all that. It's just like I don't know. I just got bored with them, man. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. When the
But
game.
I'm hoping Cyberpunk. I'm hoping it's going to be a different beast though.
Well, the thing is,
I was,
Cyberpunk is reminding me of Skyrim. That's why I really like it, because it's reminding me of Skyrim with the amount that you could kind of do. I don't mind having a game that has so many choices where I can go do side quests instead of the main quests. I just need those things to be interesting. Like
yeah.
the side quest. The thing that I liked about The Witcher is that the side quests were just as well written and well done as the main quests. Like,
So hey, Wayne, he had said it was earlier, but he said Elite Dangerous has so much going on. I'm not familiar with Elite Dangerous. Do you know about that, Sleep?
I think Elite Dangerous is isn't that one of those VR games? I believe it's isn't like that space VR game. I think I might be what I'm thinking of. It's like a spaceship game, and I think and it's VR, and you get to like make your own spaceships and stuff. I I've heard it.
Sounds dope.
Yeah, I mean it does but I don't have VR, so I have never played any VR game. I heard that what's that one?
You should have played with us at the arcade festival, man. The
Uh,
arcade expo.
what Beat Saber? I didn't want to do Beat
Yeah.
Saber. I didn't want to do. I don't want to do a rhythm game as my first game. I don't mind rhythm games, but I want to play like a real game in VR. I heard they did make one. You know that one game that everybody wanted that Valve was supposed to do that they never came out? Half-Life. They came out with another Half-Life in VR, and I heard it was actually good.
What? Really? I'm a fan of Half-Life, actually.
Oh, really?
I really like. I played Half-Life back when I was playing Counter-Strike Source, and that's right around when the first Portal came out.
Yeah.
And it was dope. I mean, it's really well done. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I believe there was a new one on VR, and it was good. I don't know if anybody remembers, but Sega Dreamcast had an open world space game. What was that game? No, I remember that.
I think I remember what he's talking about too, but I can't think of the name of it. But hey, completely side note, talking about games that they need to remaster is Star Fox.
Ah, I believe they've tried. Did you see the last one?
No, the last one I played was Star Fox 64. I didn't even know they had another one since then.
They had another one since then, and it was bad because
Armada. That
yeah,
sounds familiar.
it was
Airmada.
it's because they forced this controller scheme on you that was just god awful, and they wouldn't allow you to take the controller scheme off. It ruined the entire game, and like it was just so cumbersome and stupid. I don't know why. What up? Well, I can't hear
I
you.
hear that. I said I still hear him. I said, do a barrel roll.
Dude, I wish it was like that. I would have just took the old Star Fox, but they decided to do something stupid and new. Hopefully Nintendo, because Nintendo will eventually just go back to the same old formula. So we'll probably be getting another Star Fox, Metroid, and all the ones you know.
Well, I hope so because I have, now that I have the Switch, I'm really kind of. Besides, obviously Breath of the Wild's finally beaten. So, it says I'm cutting out. See, on mine, Sleepy's cutting out.
Yeah, you're cutting out. You were cutting out a little, but you came back in. I can hear you now, though.
I don't know. It's interesting to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that I beat Breath of the Wild, obviously I got the, Super Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, but I definitely want to get some more games for the Switch. But
you should get some indie games, bro. Get you some indie games.
I need to turn on my damn Xbox and play with my boys.
Yeah. Hey, there's another game I always tell you, but I don't know if you'd ever do it because it's one of those games that's little more lighthearted, but it's Ori and the Will of the Wisp. It's a good game.
Oh yeah. I'm actually down with it. I would like to see if Emerson would like that game.
Yeah, okay, it's one of those kind of storybookish games, so I think she would like it. It's not particularly easy, so you would have to play it or at least teach her. But I think you like that. That's another Xbox. Oh, and there's another Xbox exclusive that just came out. Gears Tactics.
Is it a Gears of War game?
Yeah, Gears of War games, but it's a tactical game.
Interesting. I think I have heard of that.
Yeah, it's like XCOM. If you've ever heard of XCOM, it's a lot like that.
It's kind of like it's like Halo Wars, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of like except it's like 100% strategy, like a tactical game. So, turn-based, things like that. Like, if you played XCOM, it's kind of
Austin talking about Turok. Boy, Turok was the shit back in the day.
Bro, I would love another Turok. I remember they tried to make a newer one, but it wasn't as good as the old one.
They made a few. They made a few of them.
It wasn't as good as the old one. The old one was dope. The old one was the game.
All right, man. So listen, man, we are kind of up against our hour slot here, so let's go ahead and start the final segment of the podcast.
All right.
All right, bro. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
All right, no, I go first. I got a weird one. This happened in 2018.
But you're cutting.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Everybody hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you. All right.
This happened in 2018. But there is a 20-year-old named Narul Majabin Hassan. I hope I said that right. I'm sorry if I butchered it. Who wants to marry her copy of Tetris. Apparently, she is cut out. I'm sorry, cut out. My thing broke off. Apparently, she's what's it called, and I forget what it's called. Object, something like like when you're like attracted to objects, like inanimate objects. She is basically one of those, and she basically broke up with her ex calculator. Now, it's for real. She had an ex that was a calculator, and she broke up with it to be with Tetris. I'm not kidding you, dog. This is a real story.
So does she end up getting married to this?
I don't. The story doesn't go into her actually marrying it, but she wants to get a legitimate a legitimate wedding where her friends come, which is weird. Like, she has friends, so I mean, she's doing something, because when you do stuff that weird, it's hard to get friends. But anyways, like.
Aye, bro.
She wants to have a legitimate a ceremony with her friends to come down, and she wants to marry Tetris, and not in a sexual way, but a romantic way. Like,
So what you're saying is that this lady and her game of Tetris are going to have an open marriage?
apparently they may have an open marriage with her iPad. I don't know. Like, that's a joke, but like she's really. It's called objectum sexual, where it's a romantic relationship with a inanimate object.
That is really freaking sad. How how lonely people are, and the lengths that they'll go to feel needed and loved. Like it really is kind of
Now,
it really is like sad.
now, is it loneliness or extreme fetishism?
I think it's probably both. I mean, is she having sex? Is this game of Tetris bringing her to an orgasm?
Well, basically, what they say in the article is that she gets like Tetris themed sex toys, and
Oh,
and then does it that way. So she like sexually excited for the game, like like at least that's what I read. She's like sexually excited for the game. She's a mathematician as well.
well, see, she can just buy Tetris on the Wii, and then she could use the Wii remote as she's playing Tetris.
Fuck yeah, the
I don't know.
two and one, bruh. That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
that's just ridiculous. All right, so for mine, and this kind of touch close to home, and you'll see why. Indianapolis police arrested a 31-year-old father of two after finding his children, one naked and one wearing only a diaper, wandering the streets as he played a computer game.
Wow.
Timothy Hossaman's two children were discovered wandering around an apartment complex in which they lived near a busy road on Saturday night. A neighbor kept an eye on the children for at least 20 minutes before calling the police. And when officers arrived at Hossaman's apartment, they found the door open. No one responded to the door, so they went inside and found the father playing the game Atlantis on his laptop. The man told police that he left his children downstairs to play and was so into his game that he had no idea that they had left the apartment. Hossaman told police during his arrest that I am obviously not very good at watching children. His wife was away on business during the incident.
Oh wow! But like, did they ever say what she did?
No, but being a married man with two children, I can only imagine.
Aye, bro.
If
Like,
I got arrested.
aye, bro. Like, but like, how hard do you have to be in this game to know that your like 3-year-olds have not escaped the house? Like, like, don't like, and what Atlantis? Why was it like? I can understand if he was playing WoW, maybe RuneScape. Like, bro, Atlantis? What?
Right.
And let me clarify. It's still stupid if you're doing WoW or RuneScape. I'm just saying. Like, at least it's a game.
I've been a gamer my whole life, but I've never sat down and played a game that was making me like, you know what? Fuck those kids.
Oh, bruh. They got free XP. They got double XP for the next weekend. Man, fuck these kids, bruh.
They in diapers. They can take care of themselves.
Oh man, the human race is horrible.
It's the plight of being a dad gamer, you know what I'm saying, or just a parent gamer. All together is that you gotta reserve your gaming for nighttime until your kids get older.
Yeah, I'm glad that me and Kia are quarantined with no kids right now, because now I can like just play games and.
You could be like Austin Shane though. I'd be playing Call of Duty with Austin Shane. He'll be sitting there like, hold up, hey yo, go get me a beer. Now go over and sit down. Shut up. Austin be pimping his kids when he's playing video games though.
He be watching anime with them like a good father though.
Old dude over here, named Timothy Hossaman could learn something from Austin Shane, bro.
Oh, dude. Like, you should be engaged with your kids. Don't quit the game, but be engaged.
Definitely. Play games, but watch your kids.
Watch your kids, man. Be engaged. And also, probably don't have sex with your games either. Don't do that.
Yeah, right. Maybe he had an intimate relationship with Atlantis, and that's why he wasn't able to watch his kids.
He was Atlantis, I love you. Now let's see if we can put some houses on this kingdom.
Oh hell! But all right, guys, man, we sincerely appreciate every single person that came in and watched us today and contributed to the chat. We are definitely going to try to make this a weekly thing. I know we kind of slacked off this last week or whatever, but
last week.
But we should. Well, 2 weeks. You're actually right. It's been the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, but we do plan on trying to make this a weekly thing on Sunday night.
Definitely.
So definitely you guys come in and tune in on Sundays at 9:00, and we enjoy having every single one of you, and we really appreciate it all. Yeah. It's kind of been a bummer with the coronavirus. You know, the launch party got postponed indefinitely until everything opens back up, and you know, so everything's kind of on hold right now. We're not able. I did want to say, since the last podcast, we did have the game night. It did turn out to be pretty successful, man. We had so many people that we had to play custom games, and I think at one point we had too many people to play the custom game, and some people got left out and had to start their own custom games. So we did have a great turnout with that, so I definitely appreciate that, guys. And once the world opens back up, 2Def Gaming will be hitting the ground running. We'll have our launch party, and we'll start hosting tournaments and events again.
Yep,
definitely. And we can't wait.
And you know, we're gonna try to, like you said, we're gonna try to make these podcasts a little bit more regular, and hopefully, you know, maybe we can add in us playing a game sometime where we can, you know, just both be on a game and chill and, you know, play with the chat and everything like that. There's a few games that came out that I believe are cross-platform, so we might be able to do that. Like I think they're indie games or something like that. Like I think Streets of Rage might be cross-platform.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down, man. You just gotta let me know if I can get it on Xbox. I'll pick it up when you play it. You know, the other thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna start having some guests on. You know, I know Austin's definitely old loose thing over here has been wanting to get on and join us on the podcast. So we'll be adding him, and you know, we have a whole plethora of other people who want, you know, who have a lot to offer, and you know, 2Def Nation's getting bigger and bigger, and there's a lot of really cool, knowledgeable people who can add a lot to the conversation. So we're looking forward to having special guests from time to time on our podcast. So yeah. I think probably starting next week, we'll go ahead and have a special guest, most likely Austin, because I think he was the first person to ask. So
yeah, that'll be dope. I can't wait. All right, guys.
Well, this concludes episode 2. We sincerely appreciate all the support, everybody, and just hang tight and stay safe and listen to old Governor Andy. Y'all can't be doing that.
Yeah, stay home. Do it.
Stay your ass at home.
Stay your ass at home. But yeah, hey, nice for coming out, guys. Thanks for being in the chat. And we will see you later.
Yes, sir. Much love, guys. See you next week.
All right.